we do see sharks. We do see many different kinds of fish, and it's still interesting. I've never seen one in the Elizabeth River, but to be clear, even in Rudy Inlet down at the ocean front, many sightings of bull sharks, which that's notoriously the most dangerous shark on the planet.
Hello, Tim Ryan.
Hello, Zach Miller. I had to doing a quick check to see what episode number we're on.
267, maybe?
Yeah, 267.
Yep, here we are, live and in color.
These weeks fly by.
Have you changed anything in your background in a while? I don't feel like you have. I feel like we got a fun... okay. Same.
Nope.
Maybe like a new
things are moving too fast to focus on backgrounds and all that kind of stuff, man. It's we got a lot of stuff that's going. A lot of things really moving really fast, as you know. Gearing up for the Startup World Cup.
56 days away.
We're going to be putting Virginia on the global stage again. So get your applications in. Well, as you know, it's like, man, the messaging is always so. It's been a super interesting exercise, and so a lot of people are like, man, I don't know if I can compete on that kind of a stage, but gosh, you just show up, right? I mean, like the people that you're going to meet by just attending this event could totally change the trajectory of your business within itself. So just show up, have a great time, drink a drink, have some food, meet some people, support fellow entrepreneurs. It's going to be awesome. Show up. We can't wait to see you.
There you go. I got nothing else to say. Thanks for taking my thunder. No, it'll be fun. It'll be definitely the largest stage, not just like the attendance, but the largest stage that I have ever stepped on. Yeah. Except for maybe like in, high school when I was when I was a thespian. I'm joking. I was not. I was not in the drama club. I was not good at any of that stuff, as you guys all know that. But
yeah, then we got TechNite. It's quickly following behind that. Nominations are open for that. So yeah, I think that one of the nicest things that you can do for a fellow founder, a fellow business, is just take 2 seconds to nominate them for an award. We got several awards to choose from: Entrepreneur of the Year, Startup to Watch, Innovator of the Year, CTO, CIO of the Year. We have 9 different awards to choose from. Take a couple seconds, nominate somebody, and it's all part of the storytelling aspect of what we're trying to do here. So that'll be.
I'm interested to see who wins the Dubby Win Award. First time for that, probably the most meaningful of all time. Is the first time, I would think. So it'd be interesting to see who gets that. Dubby is, I didn't know him well, but the time I had with him, there was like an impact. You're just like, there's an aura around this guy. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, I did not know him well either. I was super. It was really, really nice to hear how honored the family was that we were making this award in his honor. So, rumor is they'll be in attendance for that night.
Oh, cool.
Same with Dan Bell. Dan was a tireless champion for the region, and we'll have an award in his name to honor him as well. So really, really good stuff. I'm excited about that as well. TechNite. Just head to our website. All the info's there.
All right. I'm excited for today's guest. We've known him for approximately 17 minutes. An introduction from Chris Tillett, City of Portsmouth, economic development over there.
Shout out to Portsmouth.
Shout out. Martin, I don't know if you know this, but like Chris Tillett is like the greatest business development dude, like on the street, like from an economic development perspective, like in the history of any place.
It was, I agree.
He's like, if you haven't gone to lunch with him, make him take you to lunch, right? Like he just knows every single. Yeah, we went to some pizza place.
Yeah, but we were walking down as the 3 of us. I felt like it was a 3-person parade because all we were doing was just waving to everybody. We were walking down High Street.
And it's not like he's the mayor or anything, but I mean, people treat him like that. I don't know why. But shout out to Mr. Christopher Tillett, who's obviously been on the show before. But Martin, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
It's unique.
Yeah, I'm
So,
looking forward to diving in, if you will.
No pun.
Oh, that's funny. Wow, look at you and your choice of words there, Tim. What are you alluding towards? Oh wait, what's on this coffee cup? That looks fun.
It is.
I
think that this I'm looking forward to this show. I mean, it should be just a chill vibe, like this whole the whole show.
Well, what do you have for me?
Well, yeah. What do you got? What do you got going on? We're going to go underwater and learn about the diving aspect. I think that we hear a lot about that, about the region, shipbuilding community. Always, you hear a lot about it, but we've never had anyone that's under the water and seeing the things. Like how much time a day do you spend? A typical day, how much time is spent underwater?
A typical day for myself or one of our divers is typically a minimum of 3 hours and as many as 10, depending on what the decompression limits you to.
Wow.
Physical aspect of it, is it a really labor intensive job that we're performing, which you can imagine that quite a bit of our work is labor intensive.
How does that work?
Were you a swimmer in high school, college, anything like that?
Where I came from, we did not have a pool. We had ponds, not pools. So there was no swimming in high school. I swam a lot in the summer and went to the beach like most anyone else. But to be clear, there was something. There was a driving force behind myself. I spoke to you earlier. I came from inland Carolina. And knew no divers. There was no deep bodies of water. And this being in the 70s, I think it was Aquaman and too much Jacques Cousteau that drove me to this point. And I knew at 17 that this is what I wanted to do. I mean, like anyone else at that age, I didn't realize it was going to take me to this portion of my life, but it has, and it's been good.
So what do you when you're underwater for 3 to 10 hours? What are you typically doing? What is the typical day in the life look like?
Okay, you could break that down. You mentioned some of the different areas of work we may be in, whether it's let's say ship's husbandry, that'd be working on ships, construction, offshore oil and gas, wind farm, things of that nature. So if I'm working on a ship, we could be polishing the propeller, actually cleaning the hull, opening up sea chest gratings and cleaning the piping leading into the vessel that may supply cooling water for generators or the primary propulsion device, things of that nature. Doing weld repairs on the hull.
Man, that's
just ships, and that's just a snippet of working on a ship underwater. But anyway, yes. So the day can be very long, and those jobs can drag into multiple days or weeks, depending on the complexity of that job.
All right, you knew this was going to go off the rails when you talked about Aquaman and Jacques Cousteau.
Of course. There's many bottle rockets that this thing. Develop into.
I have no idea what those things are. Can you guys just explain to me like what a Jacques Cousteau is? I figure Aquaman is like a Marvel character or something. Like, I don't know, like Turbo Man is something, I can think about, shout out to Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time, underrated, I think. But an Aquaman and a Jacques Cousteau, what are we talking about here?
Oh, Jacques Cousteau is probably who made being underwater more famous than anyone else. Helped found U.S. divers, Aqualung, and traveled the world showing the people of the world what the underwater environment was. I forget when he was born, but I mean, he was making devices, I believe, as early as the 40s, and that just continued until he passed. He was just a true innovator, and again, he showed the world what it was like to be underwater, and um, that was just from basics to the environmental aspect later in his life. Seeing the impacts of decades of degradation due to pollution and other things. So anyway, really great human being. The world is better for him.
In
All
terms of
right,
like,
I'll look them up.
yeah, in terms of divers, does this area have a lot of divers per capita compared to other locations, or
Commercial divers for sure. Recreational divers not as much as a place like Florida, but it does have its share. There is some diving offshore. It's not touched on very much anymore. There's some lakes inland that people go to, but commercially, this is a fairly large epicenter for commercial diving because of the shipbuilding and just the general infrastructure that we have that's water-based that needs constant maintenance.
Are you doing this like on the Elizabeth River? Or are you going out? Where is the majority of this stuff being done?
Well, you pick a river where you see vessels or you see piers. Anywhere where there's anything onloaded, offloaded onto a vessel, you're going to have an infrastructure built around that, and it's going to need to be built and repaired. There is certainly a lifespan. They're made with wood and steel, and both of those have their intricacies and their lifespans.
Man, it's just something that I haven't really thought about in terms of
most people don't.
Yeah, but we're surrounded by obviously we talk about all the time. We're surrounded by so much water.
Drive over a bridge. What is holding that bridge up? That foundation will degrade to a point to where it has to be repaired or it's impassable. You're going to have failure. You will have failure.
Oh wow!
So every bridge you pass over, everyone.
Well, yeah, and so you look at how long like the James River Bridge is, the Monitor Merrimack,
Yes.
the HRBT, Chesapeake Bay Bridge, or just the power lines going across the James River.
Yes, you may have seen it mentioning that they did some major repairs on the abutments for them a couple of years ago. Those transmission lines that run across, yeah. So it is a truly interesting field, and you can go in so many directions. There's just so much to be done. The engineering, the equipment that it takes. It's a vast group of really dedicated and intelligent individuals that really keep all of this going.
Well, and I would imagine from a bravery standpoint, one, to be underwater, not claustrophobic, and having I would think you have to have a little crazy in you to
You nailed it. You started off maybe a little off base with the heroic side of it. I think the crazy may supersede all of that, but yes, to your point, it does take a unique person to do something that would make most people want to hide in the closet. So, there's an interesting group of people that make up this industry, and it's fun. That's part of the fun.
All right, a little wild. I mean, the heroics are probably because of Aquaman. You're heroes.
Well, I mean, it's just like I would imagine the military, the Navy would provide a lot of the people that you hire. I would think
they used to. That's where I began my career in 1988. Got out in '93, and I haven't stopped being in the water. So
because I mean, like just like EOD. The for the I'm trying to think explosive ordnance disposal people for that's just a tight knit community, and I would imagine all the underwater divers and the underwater welders they would all have like a super tight bond with one another. I would
very much so. We have industry parties, not even necessarily like company gatherings. We have industry gatherings specifically for that, and some of those aren't suit and tie kinds of events.
Okay, Okay, so you get out of the military, you decide that, hey, like I want to do this diving thing. I want to create a business. Is it anything like that? Like how did all of that come
So
about?
that was a big failure initially. I'd started a small like hull cleaning business, and when I say hull cleaning, I mean like for private vessels, smaller vessels. And I had another business venture, some batting cages at the ocean front that kind of went high and right, and so I needed a real job working for someone else with some guaranteed income, and so I went to this company, Chesapeake Bay Diving, and worked for this company for quite a few years. And then the owner gave myself and two other, at the time, young men the opportunity to purchase the business. And that's where we came in. That was in the early 2000s when we took over the business.
Was that a big like change for you because you had just been the guy kind of doing the work, and now you're going to have to be the guy that kind of oversees
Well,
the
like I
business?
said,
Or
I had already dabbled in business. In I think it was 94, 95. I actually, with the help of a friend, I submitted plans to put up a small building on Pacific Avenue, right across from where the dome is now, the new park, 40 something foot. Building for concessions for the batting cages. So I had a little bit of experience early on in dealing with the government, and evaluating budgets and just doing the best. I mean, I was really young and not very good at any of that, but it's certainly a stepping stone.
yeah, none of
So
that stuff is fun.
fast forwarding today, I'm sure I know the answer. More fun to be underwater, or more fun to be the business owner and
I'd much rather be underwater. I don't get to do it very often. Last couple of weeks we've been so busy that I had to supplement some dive teams, and I take zero leadership role, none whatsoever. If I go on a dive team, the the men that are being paid to supervise, that's what they do, and I just dive.
I think that's super important, though. That's a really, really big lesson that, there's a time to lead and there's a time to follow. And you have to, you as owner, you have to know that. And your team members need to know that, hey, you've got authority to tell me and what to do and how
I will
things need
not
to be done.
interject. A customer that doesn't know me, I won't even, they will just assume that I'm just, a, a member of the dive team, which I am. But yeah, I don't even, the supervisor has control of the entire operation, and I'm simply there to do what needs to be done. And I
That's
like
cool.
it.
Okay, but you swim a little growing up, but now
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Every single opportunity I was given and took. If I went on someone's property just to go swimming in their pond, maybe without permission, but
oh,
so I would get some water time, go swimming.
okay. So how like what do you think your 50 freestyle time would be these days?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea. The last time I got timed was in the Navy, and I think my 500 was, um, I think 905 or something like that.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I
that's
was
not
super
very good.
skinny, still am, but yeah.
9 minutes. You gotta swim all day and you can only do 9 minutes. Come on, man. You can be faster than that.
For 500 meters.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
something. Yeah.
So what's the craziest thing you've seen in the waters here?
So that, yeah, I've been waiting for that question too.
Hoping
Like,
for it. I'm hoping it's like a mermaid,
well, I mean,
something
thinking
ridiculous.
about how much of the underwater is unexplored and undocumented.
Yeah. So crazy stuff. It would be, I mean, uh, inanimate objects would be just random UXO unexploded ordnance. Um, but honestly, I think an Atlantic sunfish up close and personal is probably one of my favorites. I've seen sharks and all kinds of crazy fish and things driven in by the Gulf Stream with a southeast wind. But yeah, I think the Atlantic sunfish is probably one of my favorites for being in nearshore activities.
How big? How just for reference? How big is the Atlantic sunfish?
Man, that's a big fish.
Is it?
I don't want to exaggerate, but I think the thing was probably, I don't know if you've seen them. It's a really odd looking creature, but I think it was 6 or 7 feet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look that thing up. That is a crazy. And they're
Wow.
massive. They're big fish. I have no idea how they survived evolutionary.
Atlantic sunfish. That's what you said.
Yes,
It almost. I mean, when you guys see this, you're gonna believe me when I say this, but it looks prehistoric.
it does. You wouldn't think it could swim fast enough to have survived again evolution. It does. It can move out pretty quickly.
That is a gnarly looking little sucker.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
we saw
Jaws
that
just hit
down.
50 years. Oh,
I
I just
did. I
saw
saw
that.
that the other day. I saw that the other day. I can believe
What
that.
a so just one of them, or were they swimming in
No, I
a?
just saw one. Just saw one. Oh, and you know what? Another thing in the same place. This would be at the uh, down in Duck.
Holy moly! Look at that.
Right.
This is
That's.
you.
I didn't want to
That's Martin
exaggerate, but
right
they are
there.
mess.
Oh
They are
my!
large creatures. Migrating stingrays, like just a football field of stingrays. And fun fact, they won't swim through a pier. They will actually all go around the entire pier, the whole, whatever you want to
Wow.
Wow.
say, whatever their multiple.
That's
Is there a
wild.
reason for that?
I don't know. I don't know whether they kind of visualize the whole thing as a solid. You know what I mean? The piles. I don't know if that's their
That
perception.
makes sense.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's fun. Honestly, there's not too many crazy things down there. Just the normal. We do see sharks. We do see many different kinds of fish, and
But
it's
like sharks in the
still
Elizabeth River type
interesting.
of thing.
I've never seen one in the Elizabeth River, but to be clear, even in Rudy Inlet down at the ocean front, many sightings of bull sharks, which that's notoriously the most dangerous shark on the planet. Yep, you can check that out. Yeah, statistically, that is the most fearsome and dangerous shark you can
Wow.
ever. Yeah, but I've
How do
had
you
a
like it?
really close-up encounter with one while spearfishing, and it was actually a pleasant and interesting encounter. You could just tell that the animal wasn't being aggressive at the moment. I've seen aggressive sharks, and this particular one wasn't. So it was a neat experience.
Did you guys exchange phone numbers?
No, we certainly exchanged glances though. Yeah, it was swimming straight. We were swimming towards each other, and it just like boxed around me and went back in the same direction it was heading.
I always think people are kind of like loony for being like, "Oh, this shark, attacks someone." It's like, well, you are in their backyard. Like,
Shark,
this is their house. Like,
yes.
maybe, like, why are you so surprised?
Yeah, that's
Like,
it doesn't happen very often. We had a job in the Gulf of Mexico that we were on for quite a few years, and I think there were 4 separate sites that we were operating in, about 80 miles offshore. And 2 of those sites had an incredible amount of, I think they were black tips, smallish sharks, but aggro all the time. No one got bit, but everyone was constantly trying to defend themselves.
Wow.
Yeah. That was the only experience where I was kind of over being around sharks. Barracudas, that job, actually, we had a large barracuda that would just watch us all day long. And that was pretty neat. Yeah. It would just sit there, hang out just a couple of
Yeah.
feet from you. And this is probably a 6 foot barracuda, on the
Whoa.
biggest side. And yeah,
so you're
we're
their
sitting there
Netflix.
burning, we're cutting with underwater torches, and that animal's just sitting right behind you all
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were streaming like on Netflix.
Yeah,
Which
right.
happens they were watching you
You ready to
guys.
come on your show? But yeah, that's. Oh, I have friends though that have had some magnificent experiences with whale sharks and giant mantas out in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, we that was our family. We took a trip a few years ago to Cancun just to do the experience the whale shark swimming, and
Ah, you're lucky.
that was wild. I mean, that was
That's
just
a cool experience, huh?
oh yeah,
Was it
and
off like you get on the boat and you go like several miles out type of thing?
yeah, we were on that. That thing was like two engines wide open for like 45 minutes to get there, then until they spot them, and then next thing you know, they're telling you to jump off the boat and. Gosh, our kids were smaller back then. We were like, what are we doing? Here we're off the coast of Mexico, throwing our kids off the ship to go swim with whale sharks. But
With a
it
couple of
was
guys
fun.
you
Oh,
just
you
met.
legit swam with them?
Yeah, I mean, because they're just kind
Oh,
of just
cool.
moseying, doing what they're doing, and yeah, that was because they're like the size of a school bus. I mean, it's just
Man,
it's
I've always wanted those and the giant mantas. I've never seen them up close, and that's certainly I will have to go vacation apparently to go see that. I think I've missed the boat with in my career of seeing that. But yeah,
yeah,
good for you, man. That's funny
yeah,
though. You're down in Mexico. You just met the two dudes on this potentially piece of crap boat you're getting ready to get into with your kids, and
we're just chucking them off
I
the
know,
boat.
I know what you're talking about. It's yeah, I've had experiences on vessels like that in other places. Yeah, you don't know these people. It's a complete piece of crap, and you're going out in the ocean.
Yeah,
So maybe a crazy question, but is this industry of what you do is our location like really prime for that?
Oh,
Like,
yes. Going back to a just this very expansive, highly populated region living on the water. You've got all the you've got the tunnels, you've got the bridges, and then we will include the shipping industry. So not just the fact that the vessels are coming in and out of the port, but the fact that they've got to be made and repaired. We don't make that many vessels here, but we do repair quite a few, whether they might not even have to be dry docked. We would do the repairs pier side, or there are no underwater repairs to be done, and they're all internal repairs. So those two items create a lot of work for us.
I'm trying. I feel so ignorant, but I have so many questions.
No.
Like is like the tunnels, for example, like how much work has to be done on these tunnels? Is like there an acceptable level of water that is allowed to go in the tunnel before they call you out to?
So we honestly, I've never even seen a proposal or request for proposal to do any underwater repairs to the tunnels. I did like the old ones. They would be created out of pipe. Let's say up in Maryland, what was it, Bethesda? No, it's not Bethesda. Sparrows Point, and there was a big steel mill there, and they would make the pipe, tie them together, create a tunnel, float it over here, and then sink it in place. I'm sure there's cathodic protection built into the system. I don't know what kind of monitoring devices they have. But yeah, the original tunnels, they were simply made out of steel. The new ones, they're boring them. There's really nothing that we could possibly do.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. But
okay, so
again, we'll
wait.
stick with the different pilings, whether they're cylindrical pipe or square concrete with pre-stressed wire inside, or old school timber, and
They
they
call me
can all be
Timber.
repaired. Yeah. Some of the old ones,
Okay.
even some of the railroad bridges, if you can believe that.
Okay,
Well,
so maybe
so when the bridge collapsed in Maryland and Baltimore, so
Yeah.
did they have to go and do underwater welding to disassemble all that
No
stuff, or did they just
welding.
rip it out?
Most of it was just ripped out. There was some underwater burning. It's a company called Broco makes a rod, and it utilizes a magnesium alloy wires that run through this mild steel tube pipe, and then you introduce 100% oxygen to that. You start it, and then you can literally cut stone with it. We primarily cut metal with it. Anyway, so that particular job, that was done intermittently if something couldn't have been cut with the device that was being held by the crane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I just never thought of this until today. So,
it's yeah. We did after Katrina and Rita, we went down for quite a few years and worked in removing. I think it was 3 different Gorilla class jackup rigs that had capsized, and so we had a lot of experience with cutting lattice work, like was on the Key Bridge, and just incredible amount of stored energy. And I believe some lessons were learned down there because we weren't the only ones down there working, but some devices were created and utilized in order to, and these are massive pieces of equipment, to cut the steel and then grab it and then remove it, or just cut it and then let it fall and remove it with another type of device with the crane.
So when there's a tunnel underwater, is that actually in the ground?
Yes.
Okay.
Like the ones that HRBT has been putting in. I mean, that's a straight tunnel board.
So it's in dirt, I guess, or whatever the bottom floor is. It's not like there's water on top and water on the bottom.
It's going to be more substantial than that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. That I forget. I believe that bore was put something like 110 feet below, something like that. It was
110 feet from surface level, or 110 feet.
Yeah. From surface, the surface of the water down.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Interesting. I guess I just never thought of that.
It's a super slow. Yeah. I mean, and it moves like an inch an hour. I mean, it's a really, really slow process.
Oh, it's about as fast as I run.
But yeah, I can't speak too much about that. But we've had done a couple of things out there for that project, but so I get to hear people talk about it, and so unfortunately, my knowledge base is pretty small.
Do you how much of the work that you all do is local versus? It seems like you travel quite a bit for different jobs as well.
We do.
What's that mix?
That would probably only make up about 1%.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But I mean, 1% of we're diving every day. So we've been down to Colombia, to Hawaii, Alaska, California, Minnesota, Upper Peninsula, Michigan, just all over. Never.
Are there sharks in Lake Michigan?
Not that I know of. No.
What about the
I did get to dive Lake Superior the first time it had frozen over since like 1978 or 79. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We had, speaking of Minnesota and the UP of Michigan, 2 Coast Guard icebreakers had been working 24/7 for who knows how long, and both of these vessels, the rudders nearly fell off. Like literally, there was one fastener out of, I forget, but let's say 10. There was only one left, and we got a call from the Coast Guard. Initially, the first one was in the Upper Peninsula. We fixed that one, and then 2 weeks later, we got a call to go to the UP for the exact same thing on another vessel.
What's if someone is interested and they want to take this on as a career path? How long does that take in terms of like a certification aspect? Is there like multiple paths that you can go to? Maybe you want the welding path versus something different.
So you could go to the Navy. You can get your certification through the U.S. Navy, or you can go to, I think it's a handful of schools now. One in Seattle, 2 in Texas. one in New Jersey. I believe that's it that are active. Seattle, Washington. I can't forget that one. That's a good one. So typically it is from, I think, 3 to 9 months. And honestly, the 3 month one is a really good school. And I'm not going to put names out there, but people can do their research. That's a really good school. And honestly, that's all the time that you need. My understanding is the other schools that the length of time is longer and they're worth, well, it costs considerably more to go to. That's simply to be able to get funding for the students. So like veterans, VA funding, the school has to be has to be a certain length in order to facilitate that. So they have changed their curriculum to facilitate that funding. Whereas this other school, you can get it for considerably less monetarily and in length of time. So anyway, you can choose other avenues if you would like. You can, specialize in welding. You've got some medical courses that you can take. But ideally, I believe most, especially inland companies, would agree with me. Just get your certification. All you need to do to dive commercially. And there's only one. That's it. There's no additions, nothing else.
Interesting.
Everything else you have to earn by time in the business, because you can't learn what you need to learn at that school. They're not going to put you in situations that you. Oh yeah, it's a very fluid environment, as you can imagine.
Do you track how much time you have underwater, like pilots track flight hours? Is there some sort of mechanism for that?
Mandatory, because at a minimum, every dive you make is logged, and you are supposed to maintain a log book. So yes, everybody should know the amount of time that they have underwater.
Interesting. Because I would imagine, I'm looking at some of the pictures on your website, so it looks like you can go down with the tanks, or you can just go down there with a tethered system type of thing.
Yeah. We're always surface supplied. The tank is for an emergency only. That is it. And those are, I think that our website's very antiquated. We're getting ready to redo that along with everything else. But the majority of those are from the Gulf of Mexico on that particular project I was telling you about. It was deep. We were diving well over 300 feet with a Coast Guard variance surface gas. So it was it was awesome.
Wow.
I'm not even.
So I guess
try and act like it wasn't.
So like, what's the longest that you could stay underwater with surface supplied oxygen? That you could stay there almost like an endless amount of time. I would think.
You cannot. You cannot. So let's say at 30 feet you've got about 5 hours. So this is the dive tables are created for a time at depth, and so you're going to, let's say, on gas a certain amount of nitrogen into your system if you're breathing air. So you're going to take this inert gas in, and it stays in your bloodstream. And as you rise, that has to be processed through your lungs, through your cardiovascular system, and primarily. It can come out through your skin as well, but that takes time. And so the deeper you go, the longer you stay at depth, the more that inert gas, and it depends on what inert gas you have. If you have a heliox mix, because you need to get rid of the nitrogen, because nitrogen becomes narcotic, if you will. So let's say for every atmosphere, every 33 feet is like having a cocktail. And so those cocktails will add up every 33 feet. So at a point, you have to, you will not function properly. You'll be drunk. And yeah, which that is immediately when you come up, there is no lasting effects. It that effect subsides as you come up, equally.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, again, we will switch to a helium mix in order to compensate for that. And then this whole physiology side, now we also have to decrease the oxygen because oxygen becomes toxic the deeper you go because of the volume of air that you're breathing. You gotta think about the additional amount, the quantity of gas that you have
Is
in
all that
your.
done? Is there a program that will do that automatically, or do you all have to like?
We still, it's I'd say 99.9% of everyone still does it. I'm looking at a sheet that has all of my guidelines on it. They're tables, my dive tables, and you do that longhand.
Yeah, but when you're
Wow.
300
Even
feet,
the gases. So, hypothetically, let's say we're getting ready to make a dive to 240 feet. I'm just throwing this out there. So if anyone's watching, please, this is just an example. I might have an 86-14 mix, 86% helium, 14% oxygen. And you'll notice that is not 21%, which you're used to seeing as our, what we require physiologically. So you have to bring that gas down so you don't have like pulmonary O2 toxicity
It's just
or
it's amazing to me how
central nervous system. Yeah, it's.
technical all of this is. This is
Oh
this
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
not.
It gets the deeper you go, it gets extremely technical. I've got a dive log from a guy who was over 1,000 feet, and his percentage of oxygen in the mix was 0.5%.
so is he doing
0.5.
that while he's down there, or someone else doing that up there?
Oh
Because if
no, no, that's
if you're drunk
all.
down the bottom of the water, that sounds pretty difficult to be
Okay,
like,
so no,
0.5, no, not that.
no. So yeah, that's all done by the supervisor,
Got it.
top side, and that is long before the dive has
Hmm.
began. Yeah, things are planned way in advance when we do things,
Does
especially of
the
that nature.
style of body of water matter, like salt versus other things in that
Well,
equation too?
so
Or
I think you've got a 2 pound disparagement between salt and freshwater. That doesn't really We don't really take that into account when we're diving. If we have to buoy something, add air to something, um, that most certainly does count.
Wow.
Hmm.
So
Um,
what's the maximum depth? Is 1,000 feet about it, or can you even go
they've
deeper
gone
than
over
that?
1,000 feet. I can't remember what the maximum dive depth is now, but it's
Because I didn't
well
even
over 1,000.
think about like the buoy aspect, or like I would imagine like the oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. Those are probably you got to. I don't know what the depth is of the Gulf, or I guess.
So operational depth. So let's say in diving, I don't know too many guys that have operated outside of the 600-foot range.
Wow.
Now that again, let's go back to something that you said about an unlimited amount of time because you're surface applied. That's not the case. Again, we're going to go back to these tables. So let's say you've got 30 minutes, 5 hours at 30 minutes. You've got 60 minutes at 60 feet. So you notice that there's a difference there. It continues, the time at depth continues to go down the deeper you go. At 300, a little over 300 feet, we actually had 15 minutes of time for tangible work. And that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
so the more
And
I hear, the more I hear this, the more dangerous this actually sounds. Because at first I'm like, okay, like he's just cleaning whatever, whatever. But now, I mean, math. We gotta math this whole
yeah, now we've
thing.
had to add math into this. I know.
So, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how dangerous do you think this career is? And you
Well,
can use decimal points if you want.
yeah. We've I've known of some fatalities and people get hurt. But honestly, I hear of guys falling off roofs way more often.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
There's we try very hard with regulations and training and um, intercompanies discipline to create an environment that is safe, checks and balances. Um, every hose is every we try to stay on top of every single piece of equipment, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant within the system it may appear. Man, it's tested, it's logged, and not just one time. I mean, this is like whether it's a semi-annual or an annual or in every dive for that matter. You know, you're going to inspect your helmet. You should inspect everything within sight. If you're a good diver, if you're a good supervisor, it's not mandated. Myself, I'm going to look at everything.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's interesting is that, like, typically we talk about, the Fervent Four show. For those that are not familiar, 4% of businesses hit $1 million in annual revenue. So a lot of times during the show, we talk about business and what you did to become successful. But the other thing that we do here at Innovate Hampton Roads is serving as a storyteller of the region. And like this episode is very unique in terms of sharing the story of, this is a very highly specialized skill that
It's a lot of fun,
that
and
is
I'm proud to be a part
specific.
of it.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
specific to this region. And yeah, very, very, way more specialized than I ever even imagined it would be.
I feel very lucky to have fallen into it, and I've met some incredible people. And the companies, speaking about the other companies in the area, I couldn't speak more highly of some incredible people that do some really good work. Um, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
a
You
With
just
that,
don't think about the stuff that you do
yeah,
most people don't.
as a thing, but it's
Mhm.
like
It's a
it's
real,
wild.
I mean, it is a thing. It is a
Yeah.
thing. I mean, during COVID, we all had sheets of paper from the federal government, saying we could go anywhere. Because again, everywhere you go, you're impacted by the water. And if you're impacted by the water, then more than likely there's some mitigation that has to be in place underwater.
yeah. What's it like doing business in Portsmouth?
I'd say it's fairly easy. Fairly easy. Um, Again, with people like Brian Donahue and Chris Tillett, it makes things easier. So,
Well,
Yeah.
you just right in there with them.
Yeah.
They're going to be so happy to hear that.
Portsmouth
No,
has a lot of really cool stuff that's going on. And,
yeah.
it's, I
I'm
think,
glad to be a part of it. Yeah,
don't
this
sleep on Portsmouth.
no, 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 no,
Oh, maybe
no.
that's what their marketing campagn should be. Tim, you could be getting an advertising manager. You're creative now. Don't sleep on Portsmouth.
Yeah, no, it's been if people don't really recognize it. So we were um I don't want to say forced to be in Portsmouth, but we were because that's where we worked for the people that we came to work for initially before we were given the opportunity to become the owners of Chesapeake Bay Diving. So um, obviously there was an opportunity to leave Portsmouth, but one of it's not difficult to do business in Portsmouth, so that's not a big deciding factor. But the central location of Portsmouth, let's say if you were a service provider of almost anything, Portsmouth is a pretty decent place to be. If you process it, if you've got, let's say, an HVAC company and you've got multiple crews running out all over the Hampton Roads area every day, well, you put yourself, located near a freeway in Portsmouth, which we did, and you are, we're operating out of Virginia. We operate everywhere in Hampton Roads. And so the we made a very pointed decision to be centrally located, and Portsmouth is it, as far as I'm concerned. So that's a nice deciding factor.
I think the fine folks of Portsmouth would love to hear that. So There you go.
Don't sleep on Portsmouth.
I can't wait to see that on a banner.
Yeah.
Like I
I don't
saw
know.
that
It's wild.
happen. I saw that happen.
It was
It would
really
be funny if
wild.
that.
I just came back. Zach knows, but we just came back from a cruise, so we wanted to support the local economy. We jumped on the cruise leaving out of Norfolk on Carnival, and it was the ride going out and then coming back in along the Elizabeth
It's
River
cool, right?
was really really cool. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was amazed at how long it took
Oh yeah, they
to
go
get
so slow.
outside of the HRBT. I mean,
Like 3 hours.
it was
Yeah,
a
it takes
long,
forever.
yeah, dude. So we were on the ship. We left at like 4:30. Our dinner time was at 6. We're in the halfway through dinner and we still weren't through the HRBT. I mean, it was a long journey.
What vessel were you on?
It was the Sunshine, one of the two. It was the 8-day cruise. But
Oh wow.
yeah, but it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Where'd you end up going to?
We first stop was at Half Moon Cay in the Bahamas, the Carnival Island there, and then we went to Grand Turk, and we jumped over to the Dominican Republic, and then we came back.
I think the Grand Turk is where the deepest. They have like the deepest water in the world is, or something like that. Maybe,
What?
or maybe they just lie about it. You know, it's. But I feel like it was like 1,000 feet. I don't know. It was probably a lie. But like they get you and like you can see, and then if you go over this, it's a black hole. You know, only $40 to get on this boat ride. You know, something like that probably. But because yeah, I feel like I've been to Grand Turk.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. I was really, really happy to see that. I mean, it was a sold out cruise, and so I'm happy to see that people are taking advantage of the port and with Nauticus being able to jump on there. And what a really cool thing that so many people were traveling from like all over Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, West Virginia. There was a strong presence there, but all these people traveling into Norfolk to get on that cruise ship was really cool.
I think this is the first time they've done year round too, right? In its
really?
history.
I mean, I don't know why. I think it should be expanded. I mean, why not? Again, where we're located, it's such an easy place.
It was wild to see when we left the pier how they to go through the turning process to turn the ship.
Oh, right.
Takes up almost the whole width of the Elizabeth River. It was wild.
Yeah. Those
boats are massive.
They're massive, but they're so complicated and not in a negative way. As far as the thrusters that they have on them now, their ability to really manage themselves. With little human oversight, it's really cool.
So when
that's been pretty neat.
When they have to get cleaned or whatever the technical term is, like how long does it take would they dry dock something like that, or would they do it all underwater?
So there's a local company, Seaward. They have proprietary machines, and they could, again, whomever's watching, don't be critical, but I would expect they could clean a Carnival vessel or something of that size 2 to 3 days. I mean, 100%.
And how often would that have to happen?
So summertime marine growth is near exponential to what it would be in the dead of winter. But let's say quarterly, I would expect. And what drives that is fuel consumption.
That's what I was going to say. I would imagine that's also very technical in terms of how much you save in fuel.
We used to be highly ingrained with Maersk and some other companies, but they've since they find extremely cheap labor in South America and some Asian countries. So we don't see much of that work anymore. But back when we were doing it, we were kind of, in the know of what kind of fuel consumption they were getting, what they were saving, the periods between cleanings. And then we were also, at that point in time, there was a regulatory requirement to change the anti-fouling paint from copper-based in ablative style, which means it literally just wipes off, to paints that had a, I don't know what the exact engineering term is, but the marine growth would just release off of it.
Huh.
It was so slick. Like there was many ways you can look at that. You can look at something that is like zero porosity, really tight, and now it has the inability to actually adhere itself to it. And then now this is the problem. So you've got paints of that nature, non-ablative. Again, ablative is where the paint actually sloughs off. Well, after the first cleaning, now you've introduced scratches, which is what do you call that in surface preparation for paint? That's your surface profile. So let's say if you're going to paint a car, you have to sand it with X grit in order to get a surface profile for the paint to actually get into and adhere itself. Well, what ended up happening is you would clean that hull with nylon brushes, but they would still put tiny scratches in there, and then the marine growth it would not want to come off. And so now you've got to use more aggressive measures, which obviously in turn put a greater surface profile, which it just exacerbates the problem.
Wow. If you travel, do you travel to go diving at other places, or do you get your fill here locally?
I bring free diving equipment with me everywhere I go. I don't dive. Honestly, I don't go looking to dive. My point in saying with the free diving equipment is I'm game to get in the water at any, if we're talking about, nice, clear, tropical waters, I'm game all the time. It has not lost its shine.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. You ever seen any pirates?
I do not. Today's pirates, I want zero parts of. Goodness. Yeah, that's a whole nother show, I believe. That's pirates are scary. Pirates are scary. I've got friends that have had to deal with them. And, that's a serious problem around the world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Well, I hope at some point you find a sunken treasure.
That would be nice. Yeah, I did. I got to dive on what was supposed to be the Juno, which was a Spanish galleon off of Ocean City. It's one of my first really cool jobs. I was in 180 foot of water off of Ocean City. And I forget, we were on the sister ship of that fishing vessel they made that movie about years and years and years ago. Anyway, that was just a cool little side note. But I got to do that one time. Yeah, that was like, I think I was 27, 28 years old, and I'm out looking for a sunken treasure.
Well, and I would imagine it would be interesting to know how much either shipwreck or aircraft or just wreckage in general is along.
Oh, there's a lot. Fishermen, commercial fishermen have what's called a hang log, and they are thick. And it is, again, going back to everything you just mentioned, all over the place. Yeah.
Wow.
So we like to end every show with a very specific question. So we actually lied to you and we said we were going to wing this whole thing. We had one question.
Maybe I should have watched a whole show. All right.
There's some variation of it, but
there's no wrong answer on this one.
There is not. But Tim, you want to do the honors?
Well, I guess when you are above water and you're on the surface, you're looking for a place to eat. Is there a restaurant or a food of the region that we need to market ourselves after?
I'm going to say the leaping lizard.
Okay.
If you're not familiar, it's on Shore Drive. If you're coming from the ocean front, before you get to the tunnel on the right-hand side, it is a farm to table. The gentleman that owns it, he travels across the country. He does some research prior to, and he will drive around and he will research different food items from different places. and he will come home. He's a very intelligent person that I've got a lot of respect for, and you will not go wrong from breakfast to dinner, desserts. It doesn't matter. It's made in house with very specifically selected ingredients.
Selfishly
The
speaking,
leaping lizard.
this is why I like this show. So I learn about new places to check out. Very cool.
All right,
Martin, this has been absolutely lovely. Learned a lot of things I never thought happened. So thank you for that.
absolutely.
And, I look forward
Jacques
to getting
Cousteau.
on. That's what I was about to say. Jacques Cousteau. I'm going to do a little Jacques Cousteau YouTube. Looking through tonight, and we'll see what happens. I don't know what to expect, and the Aquaman, whatever. So
Well, yeah, Chesapeake Bay Diving. Who thought that there was such a cool story and it's a cool company right in Portsmouth? Very cool.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
thanks for your time. Peace.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim Ryan, Executive Director of Innovate Hampton Roads, and I'm inviting you to attend the Startup World Cup on August 21st, 5 o'clock, here at Town Center in Virginia Beach.